when the interest period is less than 1 year, remember we can compound the money year by year, or we can do it quarter by quarter, okay, or month by month, or even day by day, okay. The compounding period is just how long the time the bank or the credit card company will calculate the interest, okay. So like a credit card company, they would like to calculate interest rate day by day. So every day they will calculate the interest rate, and another day they will start from the accumulated interest plus the original principal, okay. Or they can do it month by month. So every month they will calculate how much you own, and so that's the original principal plus the interest, and then for the next month they will start from that new basement for the interest calculation, okay. So the interest period is just how long or how frequent the interest is calculated. So it could be less than a year, okay. But a customary way to quote the interest rate on an annual basis is something we always say. So the credit card company always say nominal annual interest rate is 15% or 20%, right? When you have the advertisement from the credit card company, they always tell you, hey, our nominal interest rate APR is 15%. And then another credit card company will say, hey, we have lower APR, it could be 10%. That's how they just advertised it to attract you, okay. But that nominal rate actually it's not the effective rate they are using when they calculate the interest every month or every day. It's just a saying. It's just a common saying or common quote, okay, so that every company is talking about the same concept, so you can compare different credit cards, okay. So that nominal interest rate is R, and that is just a customer way to quote, not to calculate. Okay, and also this nominal annual interest rate is called nominal interest rate or nominal rate. We can use these three terms interchangeably, okay. But it's just a way to quote the interest rate on an annual basis. So it is an annual interest rate, but actually you don't use it in calculating your interest, okay? Because your interest is not gonna be calculated year by year. It could be calculated month by month, quarter by quarter, day by day, okay? So in real life, the credit card company is the one who uses this nominal interest rate a lot. So you will see something like this. Your APR is 15%. It doesn't mean that every month or every day they will use 15% as the interest rate to calculate the interest. It only means they just convert everything to a yearly base, and they just quote this yearly base interest rate as 15%. And another credit card company might say, my APR is 10%. So these two numbers, 15% and 10%, are apples to apples. You can compare them, okay? But it doesn't mean they will use the 15% or the 10% to calculate interest. And so, for example, if the interest rate is 6% every half year, okay, so every 6 months the company will calculate the interest rate at 6%. It is commonly said that the nominal annual interest rate R is 12% compounded semi-annually. So 12% compounded semi-annually, it means the nominal annual interest rate is 12%. That's just a saying. But actually, the interest rate per period is 6%. And one interest period is semi-annual, which means it's 6 months. Okay? Another example is if the interest rate is 6% every quarter, okay, so every 3 months. It is commonly said that the nominal annual interest rate is gonna be 24% compounded quarterly. So 24% is the R, annual and nominal annual interest rate. It's just a saying, okay? And it's compounded quarterly. Okay, which means every year you compound it 4 times. So every quarter, every compounding period, what is the interest rate? It's gonna be 24% over 4 because every year you compound it 4 times. So it is 6% as well. Okay, so that is the difference between the nominal annual interest rate R and the effective interest rate per period. So now let's see the more examples. So we have learned nominal annual interest rate, which is the R, and we said it is different than the interest rate per compounding period. Okay, so they are different values. And the nominal annual interest rate is not used in the calculation. But interest rate per compounding period is actually what we use in calculation. Okay, so that's the difference. And for example, if it is said that the nominal annual interest rate R is 12%, compounded semi-annually, okay, so the interest rate per compounding period will be, because it's compounded semi-annually, so every year it is compounded 2 times. So actually for every compounding period, the interest rate will be 12% over 2 divided by 2. So it's 6%. Okay. And then another example is if the nominal annual interest rate is 12% compounded quarterly, okay, you always want to know how it's compounded, okay? If it's compounded quarterly, which means every year, it is compounded how many times? 4 times. So the actual interest rate per compounding period will be 24% divided by 4, which is 6%. Okay, and one compounding period is a quarter. You see the difference? Now let's see more examples. So if it is said that the nominal interest rate is 12% compounded quarterly, okay, the interest rate per compounding period is gonna be what? It's 12% divided by 4. Why is 4? Because it's in a year, it's gonna be compounded 4 times. So the actual interest rate per period is 3%. And one compounding period is a quarter. So next example, if it is said that the nominal interest rate is 12% compounded monthly. Okay, you always want to look at how it's compounded, how frequently it's compounded. Okay, if it's compounded monthly, which means for a year it's compounded how many times? 12 times, okay? So the actual interest rate per compounding period is 12% divided by 12, which is 1%, okay? So 1% is the actual interest rate per compounding period. And in this case, one compounding period is a month. Okay, so I want you to pause here and go back to rewatch the video to understand what is the nominal interest rates and versus the actual interest rate per period. Okay? And then let's do the practice. I want you to do it by yourself, okay? And see if you can fill the blanks correctly. If it is said that the nominal rate is 20%, what's the frequency? Compounded semi-annually, okay? So you need to convert this, translate this to an information like it's compounded 2 times a year, okay? The interest rate per compounding period is what? Because it's 2 times a year, so it's gonna be the nominal interest rate divided by 2. So it's 10%. One compounding period is half year because it's compounded semi-annually, okay? And every year it is compounded how many times? 2 times. So if you can fill the blanks correctly, you understand the problem. You understand the difference between nominal interest rate and the actual interest rate per compounding period. Try for the other example here. So if it is said that the nominal rate is 20% compounded quarterly, if it's compounded quarterly, so every year it is compounded how many times? 4 times, okay? So the interest rate per compounding period is gonna be 20% divided by 4, which is 5%. And one compounding period is a quarter. Okay, third example. If it is said that the nominal interest rate is 20% compounded monthly. If it's compounded monthly, then how many times is compounded a year? 12, because you have 12 months. The interest rate per compounding period is gonna be 20% over 12. Okay, 20% over 12. You need to calculate. So that is 1.67%. So every month your actual effective interest rate per month is gonna be 1.67%. And one compounding period is a month. The last case, if it is said that nominal interest rate is 20% compounded daily. Wow. So every year, how many times is compounded? You got 365 days. So you got 365 times. Okay. So the compounding, the interest rate per compounding period is gonna be 20% over 365. Which is 0.05%. So actually every day you're gonna compound the interest by 0.05%, not 20%, okay? And one compounding period is a day.